Hi everyone, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys how to make this simple A-shaped dress with two different fabrics combined. So if this is something you're interested in learning how to make, keep on watching, and if you're still yet to subscribe, please hit on the subscribe button and let's get started. So guys, to make this dress, you need two different fabrics, obviously. So I have this red and green. I feel like they will go well together because of the red patches on the green one. So for you to be able to make this for yourself, you will need about 1.5 yard of each fabric or 2 yards of each fabric. This actually depends on your size. So because this fabric is very colorful, I am going to be drafting the basic bodies on a pattern paper. So I've already drawn out the main line, the shoulder, bust, hip, and the length I want this dress to be. So on the shoulder line here, I'm going to go in by 3 inches for my neck width, how wide I want it to be. And then I'm going to come down by 3.5 inches for my neck depth. This is how deep the neckline I want it to be. So I'm going to use my curve to just connect it into a round neckline. So now from this center here, I am going to be taking half of my shoulder measurement. So I'll mark it here. Half of my shoulder measurement is 7 inches. So from this 7 inches point, I'm coming down by 1 inch for my shoulder slant. So I'll just connect from this 1 inch into the top of my neckline. So this is my shoulder slant. So let me just show you guys the lines again. This is the shoulder line. This is the shoulder to bust line. So for me, shoulder to bust line is 10 inches. Now from my shoulder to my hip, I marked it here. I didn't bother with the waistline because this is a free dress. And then again, I marked the end of the dress. That's the full length I want this dress to be. So now the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to work on the armhole. So now from this shoulder slope, I'm going to come down by 7 inches, which is my armhole depth. So to get this, I divided my bust measurement by 6 and I added 1.5 to what I got. So that gave me 7 inches. So at this 7 inches point, I'm drawing a straight line across. This new line is going to be 7 as our chest line. Now from the shoulder slope, I'm going to draw a straight line down to meet the chest line. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is from the shoulder slope here down to the chest line, I am going to be marking the midpoint. So just divide what you have in between into two. And at this point, I'm going in by half of an inch. Now, on the chest line, I am going to divide my bust measurement into four. So divide your bust measurement into four and make a mark here. So after dividing my bust measurement into four, I added an extra half inch because this is going to be a free dress. Okay, so I made that point there. So now I'll be connecting from the shoulder slope, the midpoint, and then the point I have on the chest line all together to give me a nice armhole. So this is what I have here. So now the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is on this bust line, I am going to mark my bust measurement divided by 4. I'll mark it here. But again, because this is a free dress, it's going to be free. I am going to add an extra 1 inch for ease. So now I am going to come down to the hip line. I'll go ahead and mark my hip measurement divided by 4 here. Now on this point, I'll be adding about 2.5 inch or 2 inches for ease. Now on the bust line, we added 1 inch. On the hip line, we added more inches. Okay. So the inches I added on the bust line, I'll just also extend it on the chest line, as you can see. So I'll connect the hip down to meet the bust like this and just extend it to meet the chest line. So this kind of gives like a simple A shape. Can you see what we have here? So now from the hip, I'm just going to just follow the slant and just draw all the way to the end of this fabric. That's the ending line. Now, if you're working on your fabric directly, you can make it wider at this end because there'll be more room for that. So this is the front piece. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out now. So guys, I'm done cutting it out. This is what we are going to be using to cut out the front and the back. So this is the pattern. I've placed it on my fabric. So you can see I have two pieces because we are working in two different fabrics. This is the front pattern here, okay? So I've placed two of my fabric together, right sides facing each other, and I've gone ahead to place my pattern paper. So from the center front, I'm just cutting all the way through about half inch away from my pattern paper. You can see what I'm doing here. This half inch that I'm cutting away is for me to be able to stitch these two pieces together in the center front. Now from the neckline, I am also cutting about half inch away from the neckline. And I'm also going to continue doing this for the shoulder and for the sides as well. So guys, this is what it looked like after I was done cutting out the front pattern. So you can see the other side here. So I'll be joining these two together in the middle to form one piece for the center front, for the front piece actually. So I'll just make a notch here at this point and also at this end here so that when I get over to the sewing machine, it will be easy for me to get the point where I'm supposed to stitch down to join these pieces together. So now to cut out the back, I folded my pieces into two again. I arranged the two different pieces together. This time around, notice that the green is on top. When I did it earlier, the red was on top. Okay, so now the green is on top. This is for a reason. This is for the fabrics to remain in the same sides. Okay, so now I am placing the front pattern on these back patterns here, and you notice that I'm making sure that the neckline of the front is also facing the same direction it faced when I placed the pattern paper on the front pattern. So the neckline is facing me just like it did before. So it must face you in the same direction, just the way you cut it out before. Else, if you don't cut it like this, by the time you are done, the different fabrics will be in different directions. We want them to be on one side. Okay. So now from the center front here, on the back pattern, I'm going to be coming out by an extra 1 inch. This is because the back is going to be having a zipper allowance. I actually hope that you guys understand what I'm trying to explain here by the um, way you should arrange your fabric. I actually hope that you guys understand what I explained, guys, honestly. Because if you don't follow it like this, you will actually not have the fabrics facing the same directions. But as you can see, I'm drawing 1 inch extra allowance all the way across. Okay, now I would from the shoulder here draw a straight line to meet this line I drew out. Now the neckline I want the back to have is a high neckline. So from this line I drew out, I came down by 1.5 inch, and I'm going to connect my neckline. It's also a round neckline, but it's higher than what I am having on the front pattern. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and cut everything out now. I'll cut out the center just like I did. Every other part will follow what is exactly on the front pattern except from the neckline and the zipper allowance area. So guys, this is the front and the back pieces. As you can see, I'm just going ahead to mark the wrong side because I'm working with pure cotton, and it's really very hard for me to actually determine the wrong side if I don't mark it out. Now on the front pattern, I'm going to go ahead and join the two pieces together with 1/2 inch stitching allowance all the way across here. So guys, I am done stitching the two pieces together, and I've gone ahead to iron my seam open. So now our front piece is one. You can see, so the two pieces are actually now like half on each side. So this is what yours should look like. So guys, let's go ahead and leave this front pattern aside for now and work on the back. So now for the back, I am going to go ahead and stitch down the zipper allowance away, but of course I will be leaving some inches away from the top. This is going to be the space for our zipper. So from here, I'll go ahead and make a stitch, a tight stitch from this place all the way to the end of the back. And from here to this place is where we'll fix our zipper. So guys, I have stitched it down. You can see the opening I left at the top for the zipper area here. So you can see it here. So now this is the back pattern. I've turned it over to the right side and pinned down the top. And this is the front pattern. So right sides facing each other, you can see that the same fabrics are facing the same direction. So this is why you should actually cut it out the way I really try to explain to you guys. Else, by the time you are done, if you don't cut it out in that particular way, the fabrics will be facing different directions, and you don't want that. So now guys, I'm going to be using a bias tape to turn the neckline for both the front and the back. So I will just go ahead and pin this bias all the way around the neckline. And once I'm through with that, I'll make a first stitch and then use the bias to turn everything over to the other side just like this. Okay, I'll do the same thing exactly for the two back pieces as well. So guys, I'm done stitching it down. As you can see, the neckline is looking really nice. And for the back as well, I've gone ahead to do the same thing for the two parts of the back. So this is what it looks like here. You can see how nice it looks. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is to join these two pieces together on the shoulder, which is actually very easy. So for this, I'm going to be placing the front and the back pieces together, right sides facing each other, just like you see me doing like this. And I'm just going to go ahead and pin down the shoulder and then head over to the sewing machine and stitch it down with about half of an inch stitching allowance. So guys, it's stitched down now as you can see here, and I've also gone ahead to turn it over to the right side and iron out the shoulder area as you can see. So now from the back, I'm just going to go ahead and remove the pins I used to hold it earlier so that I'll be able to stitch down the shoulders. So remember that this area here is the zipper opening. Okay, so I'm going to head over to the sewing machine and fix my zipper to the back. So guys, my zipper has been fixed as you can see. So now the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to work on the sleeves. Now for the sleeve, I already have a long sleeve pattern here as you can see. Now I also cut out the band part. So for the band, I decided to cut from the end 4.5 inch away from the whole sleeve. So this tiny piece here is going to be serving as my band here around the sleeve. Okay, now this upper part I'm going to slash and spread it to give me that gigot sleeve pattern. So what I'm going to be doing is to just make points about 1 inch away around this end here, and I'm going to use these points to draw straight lines all the way to the top of this sleeve. And once I'm through with this, I am going to cut through. I will cut through, but I won't cut all the way to the end of the armhole area. You guys are going to see how I go about this. That way, I'll be able to spread it around the end of the sleeve. So the armhole area won't cut entirely. So now I'm going to place this on my fabric. So I've placed it on one of the fabrics here for one of the sleeves, and the distance between each point is about 3.5 inches. I added stitching allowance all the way around each side as you can see for us to be able to join every part of this. And also for the band, I also added stitching allowance around. Now this is the way I went ahead cutting out my band. So I folded it in before folding it again to cut out. This way our band will not just be a one piece. So the fabric is also serving as the lining. So now I'm going to go ahead and remove all the pins as you can see and place these two together because they're going together. So this one and this other band will be going together. So now around the bigger part of this sleeve, I'm going to head over to the sewing machine and make a gather stitch. So after making a gather stitch, I have my ropes around the ends for me to be able to pull on my gathers so that I would have the same length as what I have on my band. So I'm just going to start pulling actually on the one of the threads as I go. Just go ahead and pull on it carefully so that the thread doesn't break. Once you're through with this, check if it's the same length as the band. Once you've gotten this, very easy. What you're going to do is to turn the right side of the band to be looking at you, facing you like this, and place the right side of your actual fabric like this and go ahead and stitch it down. So once you are done making this first stitch here, you are going to turn everything like I'm doing here, fold it up like this, and then use the band to fold in and cover the rough edges that we had from the gathers. So I'm just going to pin this down and then head over to the sewing machine and make a stitch here. So guys, once you're done with the sleeve, we're going to attach it to the side it belongs on the dress. I've already done the same thing for the green part. So this is the red sleeve, right? So once I'm done finishing up the sleeve, I'm going to place the sleeve on the red part of the dress. So guys, the sleeve is fixed now. You can see what I have here. Okay, so I'm going to turn everything over to the wrong side now so that we can go ahead and join the sides. So just quickly arrange it down and I'm going to go ahead and join the side. So I'll start from the sleeve. So I'll start from the sleeve here. I will stitch it down by about half an inch stitching allowance. So I'll start from here, sew all the way through to the end, and then finish up the ends here. So guys, this is the final look. I'm done stitching down the sides, as you can see. And I've also stitched down this other side. It's basically the same thing. So you can see how the two different sides are actually showing here. They're like half on each side. It's like wearing half a fabric on each side, and it looks very nice. So thank you so much for watching today's video. This is the final look of the dress after I was done with everything. So I hope that you guys will find this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.